Hi, welcome to the video. My name is Adam Martin, and today we're going to learn how to use Adobe XD to wireframe websites. Adobe XD, which stands for Experience Design, is a user experience software program used for wireframing and prototyping digital projects, including websites and phone applications. Wireframing and prototyping are important steps in the product design process. Prototyping tools like Adobe XD are commonly used by graphic designers and user experience or UX designers to communicate ideas in the early and middle phases of product development. Let's take a look at a short video from Adobe that will introduce us to this program.
Adobe XD is the all-in-one UX UI solution for designing websites, mobile apps, and more. Design, prototype, share, all in XD. XD has powerful tools that are easy to use and eliminate tedious tasks. Switch from design to prototype mode in a single click. Quickly communicate the flow and paths of your experience and then preview your prototype. Make changes to your design and see your prototype update automatically. Generate shareable web links of your interactive prototypes to get feedback on your designs. Reviewers can preview them on mobile and desktop browsers. Reviewers can comment directly on your prototypes and specific parts of your design. Whether designing on Mac or Windows 10, you can create everything from low-fidelity wireframes to fully interactive prototypes for any screen in minutes. Be sure to check out the series of tutorials to learn how to use the intuitive features in Adobe XD.
In this tutorial, you will learn to use Adobe XD to wireframe a website. In this case, we will create a wireframe for the Vanity Fair website. This is a screenshot of the Vanity Fair website. I have modified the screenshot slightly. I removed the ads and edited it for height. I want to keep our wireframes to around 5,000 pixels in length. But this gets in all of the functional and user interface elements on the site. Our wireframes that we create today will target display on desktop and laptop computers as opposed to mobile phones where design must be much simpler. You can use Adobe XD to design wireframes across devices and sizes. Since we have an actual website to use as a reference in this case, we will also be able to add in a few basic design elements. Let's talk about what a few of these terms actually mean. A wireframe is a design that lays out the structural and interface elements for a website. It generally consists of boxes, lines, and text laid out on a grid. It represents the structure, layout, and/or interface design of a website. Wireframing takes place early in the design process. A prototype is a preliminary model of a website or application. Think of it as a built-out wireframe or a wireframe that now includes design elements and more representational content. Applications like Adobe XD allow designers to add interactivity to their prototypes to represent functionality and user movements. For this tutorial, we're going to create a wireframe for a website that already exists. This is backward from the real-world practice. In practice, wireframes would be created as an early step in the web design process. A website or app might ultimately be crafted based on the structure provided in a wireframe, with a few steps in between. Now let's go ahead and open up Adobe XD and take a look around. We'll create a new canvas and do a quick review of the toolbars, panels, and menus. Okay, so when we first open Adobe XD, we're going to see, this will be the screen that we see. It says Design, Prototype, and Share. You can see that we can create a number of new documents at different preset sizes. For instance, we can start a document at an iPhone, an iPad, or a web size, or a custom size if we want to put in our own coordinates. In this case, we'll create a custom document at 1280 pixels by 5000 pixels. If we double click here, that will create our canvas for us. And I'll go ahead and expand this so it takes up our full screen. We'll go ahead and take a look around Adobe XD. You can see right in the middle here, it's put our canvas where we will work. Along the left-hand side, you'll see we have a toolbar. If you've used other Adobe products in the Adobe Creative Cloud, Adobe XD will be really easy for you to get around. And even if you haven't, Adobe XD is a very simple software program that is not hard at all to pick up. In fact, that's the whole point, is to allow people to create quick wireframes and prototypes without having to learn a really complex software program. To that end, it also has limited functionality. So let's take a look. You can see there aren't too many options over here on our toolbar. The main option at the top is our select button, which we can also use to select and move objects. Next, we have the ability to create a rectangle, or we could create a circle. We can draw a line. We also have a pen tool that will allow us to do a little bit of free drawing. We have a text tool that will allow us to put text on our screen. And down here at the very bottom, we have a zoom tool that will allow us to zoom in on our canvas, or if we hit the Alt button, will allow us to zoom back out. So let's go ahead and select our select button here and select the square. So these windows or panels over here on the right-hand side of the screen give us options for controlling the different objects on our canvas. So when we select this square, you can see a number of options appear. We can change the size of our square. We can also change the appearance. We can change the fill color. We can change the border color. We can change the border size. And we can change some information about the corners and also how the borders appear. We can add a few effects like shadows and a background blur as well. The only other options we really have in Adobe XD are up here in our top drop-down menus, which will be familiar to anyone who's ever used a software program before. We have our services and preferences. This is where we can start new documents, open previous documents, or save our documents. Under Edit, we can copy and paste. Objects will allow us to select objects and edit them. We have a Plugins menu, a View menu, which will allow us to zoom in and out, a Windows menu, and finally a Help menu. Let's go ahead and select some of these objects and just go ahead and delete them so that we'll start out with a clean slate. And in our next video, we'll learn a little bit about sketching.